Hi, this is Deacon John Wilson, Education Enrichment Director for West Sanders Church. This video is primarily for rising 12th grade parents. I've been hearing some questions online and in my text. I thought I should tell you beforehand what to expect with costs of college versus loans. Because a lot of you think it's like when you went to college, because even if you went 20 years ago, it was different. Now, some of you went 30 years ago to college. I know I went. Oh my God. I entered college in 1980. I went 40 years ago to college. Anyway, whether you went 20, 30, or 40 years ago to college, it's very different now. And one of the areas is how college is paid for because of its exploding costs. The costs of college have, especially private college, have grown beyond your wildest beliefs. And the purpose of this video is to help you understand why you need to do loans. You're going to have to do loans. You're going to have to do parent loans. And with the changes in the parent loan system, you're going to be capped at $200,000. So it's something you ought to really think about. In previous years, I would try to convince parents not to take the debt, and I explored the reasons why they still go do it. And now there's going to be caps, so I have to do a better job at explaining to you how you're going to pay for college, and it's going to be loans. Now I'm going to explore alternative colleges in the next email that I'm going to explore why is college so expensive. I want to really be clear. I might do the why is college so expensive first. I haven't decided yet. But you want to like and subscribe to see this video series that I'm doing on college cost. And I'm going to do a workshop at the church on it and in Lakewood later on. I'm really going to be speaking about this. Remember, loans are just a small part of this. There's other stuff I need to tell you about as well that relate to affordability. Let's get into this. Let's start with parent loans. The parent loan for undergraduate students, and otherwise known as the PLUS loan. Now, PLUS loans, as you can see later, are actually a type of student loan, but it's one for parents only, for dependent parents of the student. And notice that's dependent parents. I'll talk about that another time, but it's dependent parents or parent of the students. Some of you all are shocked we have parent loans because when we went to school back 20, 30, 40 years ago, the student loan at the time pretty much covered the cost of college. Maybe you had a BEOG grant, remember those? But pretty much college costs were way different. But now college costs have gone up 300 to 400%, actually more in some areas. And so you're going to need a parent loan to pay for an expensive private college. Now, I'm going to show you colleges in my next video that maybe you don't need to take out loans and that you might be able to do. But let's go over the parent loan a little bit so you can get to know what it is. PLUS loan payments can be deferred till after graduation, which is the big lure of them. Used to be you get an unlimited amount of loan, but now you're going to be capped at $200,000. So if you do $40,000 in parent loans for 5 years, you're capped. If your student has a 6-year, you can't help them. They take it to 3 and 4 years. If you take a school costs $55,000 and your students go for 3 years, it's $165,000. You can only get $35,000 more in parent loan, and the other $20,000 they have to pay. They have to come up with that. So the payments can be deferred, makes parents go, okay, well, I can pay for it later, hopefully when I'm making more money, or I don't know. I don't know what parents really think. When we look at all of student loans, most of student loan defaults have been parent loan defaults, or very old, where you have older people, 60 and 70 years old, who still haven't paid off their parent loans for their student. And they've gone into retirement, they're making Social Security. They can't make those payments. And it goes into default. And they still have another 10 years of life, but they can't do anything credit-wise. I know you're thinking your students will help you pay for the loans, but sometimes when they get in those big loans, if they don't get a career that makes a lot of money, there's only a limited amount they can do. This is a very difficult video for me to do, but it has to be done. Much easier approval. That's the other thing that's easy, Laura. You can get approved for parent loans when you couldn't get some commercial loans. I'll explain that later. 4 years of a parent loan can be easily consolidated by the feds, and a part of it could be forgiven, a small part. So you can consolidate the loan if it's less than 200,000. Remember, 200,000 is all 4 years or all 5 years. The interest rate for 2026, 27 right now is 9.2%, because it's always 3 times the rate from the Fed. And right now the Fed is about 3.1. So you're going to pay 9.2 or 9.3 for the loan. And it will change based on that federal interest rate every year. Alternative loans may have lower interest rate. You got companies like SoFi that will get you a lower interest rate on your loans depending on your credit rating. Incidentally, these loans are acquired by, according to your credit. It's a government loan, but they're going to check your credit. I'll tell you, maybe I get to that in this video, what it takes, what things will cause you to be approved and not approved. The payments start right away at a fixed interest rate, no waiting, no deferrals if you go to SoFi. However, you can defer the federal loan. Why do we have federal loans for college? It's an interesting question. And I'll show you where the PLUS loan fits in. First of all, listen to this very closely. I'm going to go really slow. Need-based federal and state grants. Most of my parents, you make too much money to get need-based grants, like the Cal Grant and the Pell Grant and SEOG. You make way too much. If you're making if you're making 70, 80, $100,000 a year, which is not uncommon in California because our standard of living is so high, you're not going to get any need-based awards or grants. Merit scholarships are a possibility, but when you add all those up or take anyone individually, it's not enough to cover the direct costs for college. That's why we have loans. There's not enough financial aid, and so you have to take out a loan. But they call loans financial aid to confuse you. I've had people tell me they have a free ride, which is no such thing. And when I tell them to show me, they always show me parent loans. If you're getting parent loans, you don't have a free ride. You don't have to pay anything right now, but those loans are on your record. Okay, so you have the tuition fees, room and board. That's the direct cost of a school. So when I say direct costs, it means the stuff that's on the bill. Tuition fees, room and board. In the red here are your Pell Grant, your Cal Grant, your university grant, and merit scholarships. What I don't have there is athletic, because sometimes you could have a partial athletic scholarship if it's a Division II or NAIA Division II school. You could have partial awards. But those are grants and scholarships. Typically, they do not make up the entire green bar, do they? That's what I just told you in that bullet above. But this is free money when you get grants. This part here is going to be cash out of your pocket plus the loans. And that's how loans come into play. So just imagine you have a $75, $85, $90, $100,000 school per year. And you'd say you get $40,000 in scholarships. The other 60 is going to be mostly made up with parent loan. You could get a sizable award, 40 or 50,000. But if it's a $100,000 school, you still have to pay 50,000 each year. And that's how you get to that 200,000 real fast. Because the maximum loan that anyone can take out now is $200,000. And that takes effect now. It doesn't wait till 26. 2 categories of student loans. There are 2 categories of student loan. Here we go. First, you have the direct student loan. Some people still call it the Stafford loan. Or you can get a Perkins loan, which is it's a loan that can be forgiven much easier, but it's very rare. It's only in schools that have low default rates. So you won't find it in black schools too much. Also, their loans may not be big enough in some cases. I mean, they're of cost, but you always have direct student loans. Everybody gets one. We'll cover that in a moment, tell you how much that is. The parent loan for undergraduate students or a PLUS loan is a type of student loan. Please see that. It's called a PLUS loan. Actually, we should just say PLUS, right? Parent loan for undergraduate. We say PLUS, parent loan for undergraduate student loans, In a PLUS loan, there's no loan forgiveness and there is a credit check. Perkins loans are totally forgivable. There's no credit check. Direct student loans, forgiveness for federal government employment, AmeriCorps, Peace Corps, Teach for America. There's also no credit check on those. Make sure you look over this, reverse the video, and read this over carefully. I'll cover it again in a session that's upcoming, don't worry. Why students should pay for college. Yeah, I think students should pay something for college, and it should be their direct student loan. Students should pay or owe something for their college education. They will receive something of a lifelong value, and they should pay. They are or become more motivated to complete college as fast as possible when they have skin in the game. When they're paying something for college, even if it's loans, I find that students are partakers in wanting to finish that as fast as possible. Many times, however, this is the problem here, parents. You rightfully regret your student loans and do not want your youth to have loans. You can pay their loans or pay the additional costs in cash. It's up to you. I wouldn't do it. I already said why in the bullet above. The monthly payment from the direct student loans after 4 years is manageable, typically $280 a month for about 5 years. If the student plans, I'm sorry, I got to correct that, a sustainable career independent of their major, a life plan is needed to repay loans. Students should have a life plan as they're taking out loans and going through college. And we specialize in helping youth with their careers. So we'll give them some ideas and we could be a think tank during the summer for them. Other loan facts. Interest rates. Direct student loans, 6.53, Parent Plus 9.2, maximum length, direct student loans 7 years, plus loans 7 years. A lot of people will shorten those by doubling up the payments. I did that with my daughters when I had a parent loan for my oldest daughter. I only had parent loan for 1 year. Maybe I'll get to why later. Extensions are possible in the loan lengths, but the costs dramatically increase. 2 types of student direct loans. So you have 2 types of loans, parent loans and student loans, but you have 2 types of student loans. Subsidized. On a subsidized loan, the interest is paid by the feds while the student is in college all 4 years. Interest does accrue 6 months after the student leaves college. So they get a 6-month grace period to start payments. But then they start right away. Your interest starts to accrue. On a first-year loan, it's a $3,500 loan. The second year, it's a $4,500 loan. And the third and fourth year, it's a $5,500 loan. Your maximum subsidized loan is $19,000. So you can get a 6-year. I think if you add those up, you'll see, let's see, 11. Oh, no, this is third and fourth. So yeah, the maximum subsidized loan is for 4 years. Unsubsidized loans are $2,000 each year for 5 years. That's where the 5 comes in. Plus 2 additional $4,000 per year that a parent loan is rejected. So if the parent loan is rejected, they get additional unsubsidized loan. And an unsubsidized loan, the interest is accruing while they're in college. I didn't say that here, but it is accruing and it's not paid by the feds. So the maximum unsubsidized loan is $22,000. So in the first year, your student will be offered a $3,500 subsidized loan and a $2,000 unsubsidized loan. Now, the interest rate on that loan is very low, like 1.5%, I think it is, but it is interest on that loan while you're in school. Typically, students will owe $225 to $380 per month for 5 to 7 years. Okay, that's going to be what they'll owe. And I think if there's trouble paying for this loan, then you really didn't get a good life education from your college. That's not going to be the problem, but I think you'll see in a moment the problem is the parent loan. Let's look at that typical four-year West AEP student. Look at 3.5 years, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and you'll see it's just for a half year. They have $12,250 in subsidized, $7,000 unsubsidized, or $19,000 in total loans. 4 years of college, you see they have $14,000 plus 8 or $22,000 in loans. Then they will get an extra year or two in unsubsidized. They have to go to year 5 and 6, but they lose their full loan. They lose their subsidized loans. This is another reason why to finish school in 4 years. They need to finish in 4 years. That's why parents, your students are going to want double majors. They think they're not sure what they want to do. The problem with double majors is they take longer almost all the time. It's more debt for everybody, you and the student. Just have them finish up with one major and then start working on career experiences while they're in college. But that's another video. Other payment alternatives to a parent loan. And this leading us to a parent loan, isn't it? So I think you can see that these loans here are not nearly enough to pay for a college that's an expensive private college for sure. Or even a UC or a CSU, you're going to have some debt. Other payment alternatives to the PLUS loan each year. You could take loans against your retirement plan, especially your 401k, your 403b, or your deferred 257 plans if you're a city employee. Let's continue. How about withdrawing from one of the above accounts? You can withdraw dollars to pay yourself back by taking deductions from your check. That's possible, probably without a penalty if it goes right to college. Or there may be a small penalty. Loan from a relative. Will there be strings attached? I don't know about that. I've seen some nasty situations when you take loans or get a cosigner from a relative. Can you raise your income? That's an alternative. How about payroll withholding change? You know you're going to be able to write it off. Maybe you can change your withholdings, get more in your check. You can pay some of it in cash, the cost, but not always. Major budget reductions. Yeah, I've heard from people that have rented out rooms, rented out back rooms, did things in their house, ran businesses in the house, or moved. Some people have moved. They moved to a lower cost place with their renting. All that to avoid a large parent loan. You look at your sibling schools. How is the private school working out? Technology reductions, cable, internet. Car sales. If you have 3 cars, when the student was driving one, maybe you sell that one. I don't know. But again, these are alternatives to a parent loan. But eventually you'll come down to the point, well, let me do this first. But there's some student behaviors in college that could reduce the parent loan. Parents, listen to me. You've got to decide, is your student willing to make these behavior changes or do these behaviors? They need to be active on campus, in activities. So they can get 2 to 3 roommates off campus in years 2 through 4. That will save you a lot of money. It's made some parents not need a parent loan anymore. Hopefully they'll get someone who shares their values to live with. And you can save 30 to 40% of the parent loan. One major directly related to career. Please, I recommend one major related to a career and job, or careers and jobs, really. Because sometimes the majors can lead to several careers, depending on what types of experiences on jobs or in internships or in other behaviors on the campus, like the leadership people and all that. I'll cover all that in my sessions to teach students how to kind of cut that loan over the time they're in school. Be proactive. Take actions to prevent D's and F's. That's for youth and parents, no matter what high school performance was. If the high school performance, you were always bad in math, you need to expect in college you're going to be bad in math. Develop a study process that works. Very important. This is where we can help. We have a homework club. We can help your student learn how to study this year. So when they go to college, they're better prepared. And we'll have some sessions that teach them how to study in college if you stay with me the whole time here throughout the process, if you're hearing this video. But so many people stop coming at the end. And usually I'm down to about maybe 20% of who I helped. They can academically prepare for college writing, college math, and or biology next summer. Not this summer, it's almost over, but next summer. Here's some other important things to know. I'm almost done about. I'm sorry for the length of this video, but I think you'll agree it's compelling information. Here's some important things to know about the parent loan, the PLUS loan, other. The loan is a federal government loan, not a commercial loan. But it gets a commercial credit check, so you go figure. It's going to get a commercial credit check, though, okay? Yes, you can find a similar loan for students, but you will have to be a co-borrower or a co-signer. It'll be your loan. Co-borrower means parents will go on your credit report as a loan, even though it's their loan. Some of you think you can do that and make it their loan, but really it's on your record. So if they can't pay that loan, the bank's going to look to you or the creditor. You start the process by asking your chosen college about their process for application for a parent loan. Usually they'll send you to the website. It's not a big deal. Other things, you will get a commercial credit check by TransUnion or another major credit reporting company. So if you have marks on your credit report, it could be a problem. But let me show you how hard it is to get rejected. You will be initially rejected if any one of the following circumstances, in the event of any one of the following, right? Let's get into this. Federal or state income tax lien or levy. That has to be removed before you apply for the loan. Default on any payment agreement you've made in the past. Usually that's within 3 to 5 years. Mortgage foreclosure in the last 5 years, that disqualifies you. Chapter 9 or 11 bankruptcy discharge. Notice 9 or 11. 13 is okay if there's no defaults. If you're making your payments on your Chapter 13, you'll get the loan. A charge-off, that's charge-off, not of, or an existing 90-day delinquency of more than $2,085. So if you have delinquencies of $1,000 and $800 in another credit, but no one is $2,085, and you can still get approved for a parent loan. This is the lure of PLUS loans. You can be turned down for other credit, not be able to get a card, but still get a parent loan. To some of you, you think that's good. They have a chance to go to college, but you're adding debt, and obviously your situation at home, you may not need to add that debt. Voluntary and involuntary repossession without an agreement to pay the delay. If you've had a repossession and you went ahead and paid it off, you can still get a parent loan. A write-off of an existing federal student loan. So if you had a federal student loan and you had it through a technicality, like you had a business, one of these for-profit schools, you got it written off by the government, or you got a loan forgiven that was in delinquency, that could affect your PLUS loan capability. But if you have a student loan, you've kept the payments up or can get it out of default, then you can get a parent loan. So I hope that helps you to know whether you'll be approved or not. Here's a couple more things you want to know. Be sure to check that you want the school to calculate the amount of your loan when you apply. Don't give a number. Why? You want to be sure the loan will cover the cost, and it's really hard to know all the direct costs, especially the one-time items. I can help you with it at that point. If you're approved for a parent loan, half the loan will be made available for one semester. The other half will be available for the second semester, both 10 days prior to the first day of class. So if school begins on August 25th, August 15th, it becomes available. Here's the plus loan table I expect you to see. Now, I know this interest rate says 8.63. I expect 9.2, but this is just to give you an idea anyway. You can see that I've done it for down to $310,000 down here. So if you get 4 years of loans and they come out to be 270, you're going to owe 3,366 per month. When you repay, you're going to repay after 7 years, 403,000 on that 270. These are very expensive loans. The parent loan is a very expensive loan. I hope you see that. So interest rates are so high right now. I made this a 10-year term, but really you might see higher payments because it's going to come to you initially as a 7 year, but you can extend it to 10. So that's what I did here. But still look how high the payments are. The highest I go is 310,000. Of course, that's a problem because it's above 200,000. And right now there's a cap on parent loans. I really hope you're seeing all this. This is really important stuff. Okay, that's all I have for now. If you have any further questions on parent loans, drop me a comment below. Could you like and subscribe if you want to get more information like this? I'm here to help you. I'll include my email address below too, and links to this presentation right here, a link for you to look at it and understand what's going on. God bless you. I hope that helps some. I tried to be as direct and open as I could be in explaining to you how loans work. I'll do another video very shortly on some affordable colleges you might want to consider or that have helped our students very recently and even last year. God bless you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye now.